Imagine a time when fear and superstition ruled the land, where accusations could be as lethal as any weapon, and innocence offered no protection. In the winter of 1692, the small Puritan village of Salem, Massachusetts, was gripped by a terrifying hysteria that led to one of the darkest chapters in American history, the Salem Witch Trials. Neighbors turned on neighbors, families were torn apart, and the slightest suspicion could mean death. But how did this madness begin? What drove ordinary people to commit such extraordinary injustices? Stay tuned as we uncover the chilling story of the Salem Witch Trials, where fear triumphed over reason and innocent lives were lost in the name of righteousness. I bet you didn't know how the Salem Witch Trials began. It all began in the harsh winter of 1692, when a group of young girls in Salem village began to exhibit strange and alarming behaviors, screaming, convulsing, and speaking in tongues. The village doctor, unable to find a medical explanation, declared the unthinkable. The girls were bewitched. In a deeply religious community where the devil was believed to be a constant threat, this diagnosis set off a wildfire of fear. The girls, pressured to name their tormentors, accused 3 women of witchcraft: Tituba, a Caribbean slave; Sarah Good, a homeless beggar; and Sarah Osborne, an elderly woman who had not attended church in years. These accusations marked the beginning of a terrifying spiral into mass hysteria, where suspicion and paranoia overshadowed truth and justice. I don't think people understand the sheer injustice of the Salem Witch Trials. The trials that followed were anything but fair. Accused witches were subjected to brutal interrogations and impossible tests. They were expected to confess or face death. Many were forced to confess to false crimes under duress, hoping to save themselves from the gallows. But even confessions didn't always guarantee mercy. Over the course of the trials, 20 people were executed, 19 by hanging, and one, Giles Corey, who was pressed to death with heavy stones for refusing to plead. More than 200 were accused, and many languished in prison under horrendous conditions, awaiting a fate that seemed inevitable. Families were shattered, reputations destroyed, and Salem was engulfed in an atmosphere of fear and distrust. The very fabric of the community was torn apart by the relentless pursuit of so-called witches. Why are there not more people talking about the toxic mix of fear, religion, and power that fueled the Salem Witch Trials? The Puritans believed they were God's chosen people, living in a fragile balance between piety and sin. The threat of the devil was real and omnipresent in their minds, and anyone who deviated from the norm could be seen as a potential threat. Women, especially those who were independent, outspoken, or different, were easy targets. Religious leaders used the trials as an opportunity to assert their influence, while others exploited the situation for personal gain. Grudges, land disputes, and petty jealousies all played a part. The trials provided a convenient outlet for unresolved tensions within the community. In Salem, fear and religious extremism were weaponized, turning a once close community into a battleground of accusations and betrayals. I bet you didn't know how deeply flawed the legal proceedings of the Salem witch trials were. Evidence used in court included spectral evidence where the afflicted claimed to see the specter or spirit of the accused harming them. This invisible evidence, impossible to prove or disprove, was accepted without question. The accused were often denied proper defense, and the presumption of guilt overshadowed any notion of innocence. The trials ignored basic legal rights and principles we value today. The court's reliance on superstition over facts, combined with intense social pressure, led to a rush to judgment. Innocent people were condemned not based on any real proof, but on the fevered imaginations of a frightened and misguided community. Why do societies sometimes fall into the trap of mass hysteria? By the time the hysteria died down in 1693, the damage was already done. The courts were eventually forced to admit that the trials had been a grave mistake. The colony later declared a day of fasting and soul-searching for the tragedy that had unfolded. In 1711, the Massachusetts colony passed a bill restoring the rights and good names of those accused and provided financial restitution to their heirs, but the scars remained. The Salem Witch Trials serve as a powerful reminder of the dangers of mass hysteria, the perils of unchecked authority, and the consequences of allowing fear to override justice. It's a story that resonates even today, reminding us that the pursuit of truth and fairness must never be clouded by prejudice or fear. As we reflect on the Salem Witch Trials, we are reminded of the importance of vigilance against injustice and the value of compassion and reason over fear and superstition. The Salem Witch Trials stand as a dark chapter in history, a powerful warning of what can happen when fear, superstition, and the abuse of power collide. What lessons do you think we can learn from Salem's past? Let us know your thoughts in the comments, and be sure to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell for more deep dives into history's most unsettling and thought-provoking events right here on Time's Dark Mysteries.